You have a big goal, you know exactly what you want, you know every step you need to take to get there. So why does starting still feels impossible? I'm going to tell you how content creation is helping me manage my ADHD better and find systems that allow me to function efficiently so I can override my executive dysfunction. I love making videos, and in my mind, making a video is one task, one project. And I wanted to do it all in one go. That's when my mind is going to release dopamine once I've completed the entire task. But this is unrealistic, especially if you're just starting, and especially if you suffer from executive dysfunction because you have ADHD. Because we know our potential, we know what we are capable of, we want to execute it and make it happen as fast as possible. This is the all or nothing trap. Your brain won't release dopamine until the entire project is done. So it pushes you to do everything in one go. Script, film, edit, publish, which sets up guaranteed disappointment because that's not sustainable, especially in the beginning. But once you know why your brain is stuck, the next question is, how do you actually get it moving? Not with willpower, with something that your brain already runs on. Dopamine. So what I started doing is this. I know my mind needs dopamine, and it will only release dopamine when my task, my project is complete. But what if I train my mind to release dopamine on every single step I need to take in order to complete the project? In my case, like it's a YouTube video, but it could be any project. Making a YouTube video requires 4 tasks: idea generation and scripting, filming, editing, uploading or scheduling with detailed description. So instead of seeing creating a video as one task, I see it as these 4 tasks, each one needing to be completed for me to get the full project. Then what I do is create subtasks. I chunk these tasks even further. When it comes to scripting, I break it into 3 more subtasks. The hook, like how to pull people in so they are curious, the problem and the solution, and the conclusion. Then the second task is filming. I divide it into other subtasks, like doing my hair, doing my makeup, setting up lighting. Then there is editing. And even editing, I chunk it down into subtasks. It can look different depending on what kind of editing you're doing. And I'm keeping mine simple for now, since I've only started editing my videos like a few months ago. So a bit of color grading, captions, and cutting off the footage together in a way that's coherent. Once I do this, I treat all of these subtasks as their own project. And I call it big on purpose because for an ADHD brain, this is genuinely hard. We are good at thinking in big goals, big pictures, but when it comes to taking action on small tasks, it's hard to know where to start or how to continue. So once I break it down, every time I complete one subtask, I actively celebrate myself. Like, oh my God, I finished this. Imagine one big project has 10, 15, or 20 tasks that need to be completed for the full thing to be done. Every time you complete one, you're releasing dopamine. Another task, another piece of dopamine. And if you keep going that way, by the end, when you finish the whole project, you get an explosion of dopamine. Because you trained your mind to see each small task as its own project in a brain where starting small is actually the hardest part. I call this the dopamine stacking. Break the big task into small, completable subtasks. Each small completion gives your brain a real dopamine hit. So you're not starving until the end, you're feeding it the whole way through. So stop chasing one reward, start stacking them. But then there is another issue. Breaking things into small steps can feel boring, almost too easy for a brain that craves intensity. One thing we know about an ADHD brain is that it craves and loves challenges. So you can get an ADHD person to do almost anything if you frame it as a challenge. So knowing this about myself, when I found that taking small actions towards a big goal felt boring, not fun enough, not enough dopamine to actually start, I reframed it as a challenge. So now, one part of my brain is challenging the other. The idea generation part, the default mode network, that's active when you're daydreaming, you're mind wandering, and the part responsible for actually executing, your prefrontal cortex, your executive function. These two are in challenge with each other. The default mode network system is challenging the executive function part of my brain. Basically saying, now let's see if you can actually do this. I know it's hard for you, but it is a challenge and you love challenges. I'm not someone who just accepts, oh, I have ADHD and this is going to be the struggle for the rest of my life. I constantly look for systems that help me manage it better, ways to support myself, ways to actually become more productive. This might work for you exactly as I've described, or you might need to find your own version of what makes you act. But what I've noticed is framing things as a challenge works for a lot of people with ADHD. So reframe the challenge itself. Your brain craves hard, complex challenges. So instead of fighting that, redirect it. Doing the simple small step consistently is the actual hard mode for a brain like yours. See the different parts of your brain as separate players, and you're not just stuck watching them from the sidelines. You get to coach the game. You can make them talk to each other. You can make them challenge each other in ways that actually works for you instead of against you. So coach your brain's players. Stop watching your brain fight itself. Start refereeing the match. And let me know in the comments which player wins the match this week. I'm rooting for your prefrontal cortex. And I'm curious, are there mechanisms you've discovered for yourself that help you execute more? I'd love to expand my toolkit of what helps me execute better. See you next time.